happened, how it has changed the particular, the interventions, or because of the particular interventions, how it has changed the university area. So the impact may be, you can study in the different, subjects. So normally the impact, used to study for socio-economic impact, how it has created socio-economic impact due to the particular interventions, and some of the impact, how, the environmental assessment. So because of the particular intervention, suppose if you introduce any LPG related project, how it has created environmental related impact. And another important thing is, some of the, the political impact, and sometimes, there are a number of, depending upon your interventions, you can measure, the different type of, the impact. There are even the cultural impact, social impact, psychological impact, like that you can just, measure the any impact, provided you should implement the project in the phased manner. While implementing the project itself, you have to generate the genuine data. And if you are able to fit all the data, you can get a very good, the results. Whether it has created that, the good impact, whether it has created your expected impact, whether it has created unexpected impact, whether it has created a positive impact, or whether it has created negative impact. So all those things, you can understand if you have the logical frame approach, the methodology. Okay.
So this is what exactly what is impact assessment. I don't want to explain. Everybody knows about the impact assessment is nothing but it's measuring the effectiveness of the organizational activities, any the planned activities, and judging the significance of change brought about by the activities. So anything if you introduce, and because of your interventions, if you get any significant changes in the society or the economic aspect or the cultural aspect or psychological aspect, that's called the impact assessment. So there are so many people have defined that what is the impact assessment, and there are two types of impact assessment. Normally, okay, sorry. So normally, it's a very primitive one. Everybody knows about that. There are two types of impact assessment. One is the formative evaluation, a formative impact evaluation, and the second one is the summative impact evaluation. I think everybody knows. So the formative means, so while implementing the project itself, you have to monitor and evaluate. So while implementing the project itself, certain things you have to measure and you have to document it. And it will use for midterm corrections or fine-tuning, or sometimes you can withdraw certain interventions, you can add certain new interventions. So for that, the formative the formative impact evaluation will be useful. And the summative impact evaluation normally will be done at the end of the project interventions. So it will be useful for just to measure how it has created the impact on the society, and whether this type of project can be continued or withdrawn, or it can be upscaled in other places. So normally the summative evaluation can be utilized for drawing some conclusion, and you can very well use it for writing policy implication to the policy makers. So that way, you can use the impact evaluation, different method, and already explain the type of impact. So you can measure any impact. So because of the capacity development program. So here the Central Training Institute organizing various training program for the benefit of different stakeholders. So that also you can continuously measure, and you can also show that the impact of the training program among the farmers or among the extension officials or the scientists. So anytime you can just measure it. And like that, the cultural impact, economic impact, health impact, political, environmental, social, like that, academic impact. So anything you can measure, provided if you introduce any intervention related to the particular subject. Okay. And the second one is that impact. Why that impact evaluation? Already everybody knows that it is very important to decide whether to fund for the particular interventions. Suppose if you implement certain project, if it is working very well, and it can be implemented to other place, or it may be upscaled to other area, means the funding, even the government or the funding agency will think that, so So for providing additional fund support for implementing the area. So that way the impact assessment will be useful and you decide whether or not to continue or expand the interventions. Because of based on your result only, because most of the time the government wanted to know about what is that the end result of the particular interventions. Say for example, right now we are implementing the soil health program as well as micro irrigation program as well as the Prime Minister Fasal Bima Yojana. So there are Government of India introducing lot of the mega schemes for the benefit of the farming community. And every year they are getting some feedback and measuring the outcome of the particular project. And based on that, the government is retuning that the particular interventions. So 3 or 4 times the Prime Minister Fasal Bima Yojana scheme has been fine-tuned and amended. So how it has amended? Because of the the feedback from the impact assessment. And similarly, to learn how to replicate or scale up the pilot mode. Normally, whenever you implement any project, it may be mostly a pilot mode. Once that the particular project success, the pilot mode can be upscaled to other area with funding support, or you can hand out the particular concept to other base so that others can also use the particular concept for further scale up. And that you have to learn how to adapt a successful intervention to suit another context successfully. So that there are a number of advantages if you do that the impact assessment. And the different method of assessing impact, there are a number of methods. So if you take that the quantitative methods, I think you would have exposed to different type of quantitative method. I don't want to explain. And similarly, there are a number of qualitative methods also there. And using the qualitative method approach, and you can also measure that the impact. And the both mixed, both the quantitative and qualitative mixing method also can be used for measuring that impact. And participate, even the people can employ the participate rural appraisal tools for measuring certain interventions. There are a number of methods are available under the PRA technique, and using that you can qualitatively and quantitatively measure. Using the PRA technique, you can also quantify. And mostly you will think that the PRA technique only for qualitative assessment, but using the PRA you can quantify. Okay, so these are the some of the under the available technique, and these technique, all the technique can be fitted to the logical frame approach. So if you have the logical frame, the statement properly, so if you want to do the quantitative assessment, you can do that. And if you want to do the qualitative assessment, that is also possible. And if you want to do the both, the quantitative and the qualitative, it's also possible. And through the participatory mode, if you want to verify the data, that is also possible. That's why the logical frame approach is very famous among the social scientists. If you want to, the logical frame approach not only for measuring the end results, the logical frame approach is very important for the managing that the research projects are implementing the research project, monitoring the research project. At the end, you can also use the logical frame approach to measure that the outcome and impact of the intervention. So that way you can just use them. Okay, and this is what exactly the logical framework. What is a logical framework? It is a statement. It's a logical statement. It's a management tool that assists in the project designs by clearly stating the key component, how the project is expected to work and how success will be measured. So both the things you can do. While proposing the project itself, you can indicate that the logical frame approach, mode of proposal. Using the same model, you can measure that outcome and impact of the project interventions. You can compare what you expected and what you achieved. If there is any gap, then there is a visibility in your interventions. That can also be refilled after fine-tuning your project. And the logical frame, also known as a project framework, is a tool for planning and managing development project mostly. And the tools like a table and the aims to present information about the key component of the project in a clear, concise, logical and a systematic way. That is very important. So now everybody is interested, even the international donors are like this type of mode. And the logical frame approach is meant for not only the evaluation, it is also useful for designing your project and implementation of the project. So while designing the project and implementation of the project, the logical framework, if you use that, it will be useful for measuring your, the end results very clearly and precisely. That's why, the logical frame approach is, very famous in the management sector and corporate sector and the international institutions. Well done. If you take any well done project, if you take any DFIT project, if you take any FOE project, if you take any build Melinda Gates Foundation formed it. So the people used to ask and submit the proposal based on the logical frame approach. By submitting the proposal itself, you can narrate what is the input, what is the output, what is the outcome, what will be your measurable impact. So all those things you have to indicate, and while implementing all those things, you have to keenly monitor and measuring and documenting and generate data. That is very important. Okay. And this is the logical frame approach. It varies from the the project to project and organization to organization, and intervention to intervention. Normally, see, it may be, while proposing that project proposal, it should come top-down approach. While measuring that, the end results, it goes from bottom to top. Get my point? Okay. While proposing the project, you have to start from the goal of your project. What would be the ultimate goal of your project? And what is your general objectives of the project? What is your specific objectives of the project? And what is the purpose of the project? So all those things coming under the top level. And the goal and the purpose and other effects, and what is the expected outcome of the output of your project, and what are the expected activities you are going to perform in your project intervention. And finally, what are the resources you need? How much budget you need? How much manpower you need? What are the infrastructure facilities you need? So all those things you have to mention while we submitting the project. So while we submitting the project, that the logical frame approach should be a top-down approach. While measuring that impact, you should start from the input to output. So it's a bottom-up approach. Just reverse. Okay, you have to measure what are the input and activities you introduce in the particular project document. And what are the expected, what are the output you produce due to the particular interventions, and what are the outcome you measure due to the particular interventions, and finally what is the whether you achieve that in your set goals, that is impact. The example, one example I will tell you, lot of example I will tell you, in future slides will come. So that the input, what are the activities and resources you invested, how many training you organize, how many people involved in the particular training program, how much cost you invested for creating the infrastructure, how many farm ponds you created, how many micro irrigation schemes you have given. Okay, so these are some of the indicators. What I narrated are indicators. These indicators you have to clearly select based on the project intervention. That is that the skill of that the evaluator. Okay, then that the output and outcomes. So this should be rated based on the input. Because of the particular input, how that output has created, and because of that particular output, how that that the outcome has created, and because of that particular outcome, how that impact has created. Whether the impact has created based on your intention or intended impact or unintended impact, or otherwise called the expected impact or unexpected impact. And if it is unexpected impact, whether it is a positive side or the negative side. Okay, you would have introduced certain the form necessary in the particular village. Complete mechanization in the parent. So because of some labor problem. But after introduction that complete farm mechanization in the particular village, definitely the farmers would have benefited, and the productivity also would have increased, and the income also would have increased. That is the expected impact. But other side, some of the agricultural laborers who are residing in the particular village may lost their job. They forced to migrate to other villages for some other job. So that may be the negative impact. Like that, there are lot of if you keenly observe certain things, you can observe some unexpected impact. It may be sometimes positive side, or sometimes it may be. Okay. So this is the logical frame approach which is followed by the DFA. If you want to propose to the DFA, I think you know that it will be DFA. Yeah. So if you want to get property, you can get it at any time. So if you want to propose the project to the DFAD, you have to follow this type of procedure. So they clearly mention. So while writing the proposal, again it told that it should be a top-to-top approach. So you have to clearly mention the goal and what are the measurable indicators to measure the goal. So listing that the indicator is very, very important. Selecting that right indicator for measuring your intervals is very important. Otherwise you may not be able to measure any interventions by following that logical framework. Okay, so that means of verification. That also you have to listen what you are going to verify. Whether you are going to verify with the help of survey technique, whether you are going to verify with the help of the remote sensing data. As an extension scientist, right now you should also try to use some of the remote sensing data GIS package for measuring certain impact. Okay, so example, so you would have created the farm plan or that certain watershed programs. So because of the watershed program, how much plantation or vegetation has increased? So physically it is not possible to measure that. But before interventions, if we have some satellite data, after the interventions, if we have some satellite data, that will be the verification mode of verification. You can very much show that before the intervention, the vegetation data is like that. But after the interventions, the vegetation is increased. So area has increased. You can precisely measure the area if you have the remote sensing data. Okay, right now that the sources scientists should think of using the advanced the ECD tools also for measuring the impact. So no need to, you always don't think that measuring the impact you should use only that the pre-scheduled survey technique. These are one. You can use same thing, but you can also use as part of the your measurement. But at the same time, try to use this type of advanced tool so that it can be useful for giving 100% authenticated proof of for your results. Okay. Then next is the purpose here also. So the purpose. So because of that goal, what are the purpose? What are the the outcome you are going to create? What is the purpose of the project? Why you want to introduce? That may be related to the purpose or the outcome of the project. Then output. So what are the immediate output we are going to get due to the interventions of the particular project? And finally, what are the activities we are going to introduce which includes input and resources? So while measuring the your impact, it starts from here. So what activities you introduce in the particular area, then what output you have created, and what that outcome you have created, and because of the outcome, what will be the your impact. These things you can just you can measure. Very simple, but selecting indicator is very, very important. And this is one model. How that the logical frame approach has been used, and how to be the verify the data. So the indicators, means of verification. So these are the activities: field survey, construction, canals. So how to verify it? So because of your expenditure incurred, using that expenditure incurred, you can use it. And then the output. So you can use some the observation, statistic record, and the data with agriculture department. How much area increased the particular crop? How much production increased this particular crop because of the introductions. And then finally, the project goal, that is that outcome. So you can use it using that the field survey as well as using some records, or you can use some the remote sensing data or the GIS data, or you can also conduct a comprehensive survey by covering the large number of use that. You can just frame it, you can close that the large number. And for framing the logical frame approach, the important thing is the indicator. So how we are going to select the right indicator for measuring the the logical frame approach. For each and every step, logically it goes, for measurement it goes, the input, activities, output, outcome, and impact. Should not forget it. So what are the the measurement to the tools. So the indicator is just a measurable variable or metric used to assess the progress and the effectiveness of any interventions or activities which you introduce in the project. So how we are going to select that indicator is a matter for each and everything. Okay. So it may be an impact indicator, outcome indicator. So the impact indicator related to overall goal helps to monitor the achievement and impact on the project. So what is the overall achievement of a particular project? So for example, you organize one training program. Okay, you organize one training program. If the farmers, if organizing training program, the farmers' participation and number of staff, number of trainees attended, number of resource person employees are coming under the input or the activities. Suppose if the farmers gain some knowledge or gain some awareness or some change in their attitude, which category it will come? Whether it will comes under the impact or whether it comes under the output or outcome. This is very important. If you know that, you can understand. Exactly what you tell is output, not even the outcome. What we are measuring, the farmers' knowledge, farmers' awareness, farmers' adoption. These are not exactly actual facts. These are the output of your intervention. Okay. Immediately after the training program, the farmers would have gained certain knowledge, certain
how much they are charging.
Awareness, and they will change their attitude towards certain technology, double attitude, and they start adapting the technology.
We don't have
These
to
are
attach
these
to this
concepts.
one.
And what would be the outcome of the training program?
You will nowadays if any income has gained.
Exactly. So increasing the productivity, and because of the increasing productivity, the income would have increased. Okay. And what else others?
There is an increase in attitude to social cohesion has happened.
Yeah, recognition from the neighbors. Neighbors also start cultivating the technology because of your success case. So you will be a success person for the spokesperson for the restaurant. That also comes under the
100
outcome.
on which date you have.
And that particular crop, particular technology
To
or
railway
particular
station, from
input,
home to
the
railway
states
station.
also become increased. Okay, you can also start expanding the area.
After coming
So
here.
previously you have calculated only for 1 acre on particular
When it-
technology. But after seeing the success
So
rate,
now when I
it
need
goes,
railway
next year you can plan to
Railway
go for
station to
2 acre or 3
home.
acre, 4 acre. These are coming under the outcome of the project. Then what would be the impact of the training program?
Based on outcome, how the entire economic scenario changes, how the social
Yeah.
condition changes.
Yes, the social recognition ultimately. And if they purchase the new land, and if they purchase the new house, and if they purchase, if they expand, if you increase that expenditure in the health side, or if you increase that expenditure in the education aspect. And these are some of the expected impact of the interventions. Ultimately, okay. And what would be the unexpected negative impact if the farmers gains more income?
The consequences.
So before that, the farmers' income increases. Sometimes the farmers also start investing, start spending money for other, negative aspect also. So previously, that they may, drink more, or that they will invest in other sides, and they will also invest in negative side. These things also will come, and they will also attract some of the non-agricultural sector, and they will also create certain unwanted noise in the particular society. So these things also will happen due to the positive impact in the particular society. So thing is here, very simple training program. If you want to measure it, normally our student used to measure, just put the value training, impact of the training program, impact of the rubber training on, the rubber producers, improving the rubber producers economy, like that they put. But that normally they will measure up to only outputs. Because as a students they may not have the continuous data. But it is possible if they are closely working with the institute like Central Training Institute or the KVK or the any other training institute, they may have the data. So So they may maintain the data. So these data, input, output, they may be maintained by the institute itself. So after that only, they have to go to the field and they have to measure long-term effect. They have to study the outcome as well as the impact. That's why that impact is, nothing but it's a long-term effect due to the interventions. You cannot measure the impact all of a sudden. Minimum you have to wait 3 to 4 years. After that only you can measure what happened really, whether it's going in the right direction or not. So 1 year if you implement certain project, if you want to implement it, it's not possible. That's why recently, if you see that all the DPT and DST project, they are sanctioning for the 5 years. Anybody got the DST or DPT project here? So recently, if you apply the project, and the DPT and DST also changed a lot of things in the proposal. Those days, DPT means only the biotechnology used to submit the proposals. And DST, scientists only they used to propose the project. But now, they have changed the trend. What happened? So, if you want to submit any proposal, it should be a multidisciplinary mode of proposal. So, first year you have to study what is the problem and gap in the particular subject. Next year you have to develop the interventions or solution for the particular issues. And the third year it should be handled in the society. And the fourth year you have to correct it, and the mid-correction you have to do that with any refinement. And the fifth year you have to measure that the output and outcome of the project. So the complete chain you have to submit as a report to the particular funding agency. That way, the DPT DST has changed the mode of proposal. So you can see that, and they also attract, the multidisciplinary mode of proposal. If you want to propose certain things, you should, take that, the startup company also. Previously, only you can be a partner with only government institutions. But today, they are encouraging that government institutions should propose projects with the support of some NGOs or some, even that, the private organization, private corporate companies. So that type of proposal, now the government of India is, expecting from the scientists. So you have to prepare for that. So recently I submitted a proposal to the DST. How best, the geospatial technology can be effectively utilized for onboarding the agricultural crop loan. For that, I had, the one partner from the startup company, another partner is the bank. So the 3 people jointly submitted the proposal and got it. So like that, hereafter, if you want to propose anything,
spatial project, the spatial part you collaborated
startup company, and testing for that bank. And we are the technical partners. Like that, that even DPT, DST, hereafter, you have to write proposal like that. Okay. So the indicator is very important, and the indicators are common tools to assess the performance and then the impact of the technology and extension program. So I don't want to teach all those things because you know very well. So there are the different types of indicators, behavioral and social and behavioral indicators. These are intended to measure the social and behavioral changes. Then social and cultural indicators, technological indicators, and environmental impact measures, and institutional impact measures related indicators. So depending upon the interventions, depending upon the project, you have to select appropriate indicators and you have to fit it to the logical framework. Okay.
Is there any book where or your manual where you can get
go to the World Bank website. Just go to the World Bank website, or then go to the FOA website, go to the DFID website. So they have developed the logical framework manual itself. You can just download it, you can read it, and you can understand how to propose a project by following the logical framework approach. How to measure
this list of indicators will be given.
Indicator is depending upon the scientist, expertise on the particular subject. What we are going to intend to measure for each and every intervention. That's a huge exercise. That's why that in our assignment, we are going to do that. They are going to do that. No, these are some of the examples for the, I just listed some of the examples. So that these are some of the examples for the social behavior indicators and the social cultural indicators. Okay, just read them, you can understand. These are the institutional impact indicators, and these are some of the environmental impact indicators. So effect on soil erosion, degradation, silting, compact soil, increasing the water availability, the groundwater increase. So all those things is coming under the environmental indicator and economic indicator related to income and other things. technological impact indicators. So these are some of the suggestive indicators, but it varies from the project to project. Even you can add a number of indicators. It's nothing but variables.
It's certain things, like for example, pollution.
Yeah.
You have to have a specific set of indicators.
Indicators. So I have that, that if you go to the Asian Development Bank, so they have developed the logical frame approach for introducing that, the automatic traffic signal system. So in the Asian country, because of introducing that automatic signal system, what type of impact created are different, directions. So impact created on the society, impact created on the, the environment side, impact created on the economy side, impact created on the, the psychological side. So they have beautifully, studied that, the particular small interventions, and they fit into the logical framework. I will show that everything, okay? So these things, and these are the, there are three type of, the logical framework approach. One is the, top-down model. So the top-down model normally used to, develop a logical framework approach for proposing the project. And the second and third one, it is a work across measurable indicators the means of mediation. So that means, while implementing the project, you are supposed to measure certain things. So what exactly introduced as input, what exactly introduced as activities, and what are the, the output you measure. So the three things coming under the monitoring aspect. Okay, and that the outcome and impact coming under the evaluation or impact assessment, the real impact assessment. So that's why I used to tell that logical framework approach is not only for measuring the impact, it's also for monitoring the, the progress of the project. And in the meantime, you can also use in the monitoring aspect, you can also midterm that, you can do some correction in the midterm. Midterm correction is also possible if you do that, the logical framework approach. So these things happen. So this starts from the goal, outcome, output, and activities. And the bottom, so measurement, it's a reverse. Okay. So I will show that these are the logical framework approach, top-down approach. And for each and everything, you have to read that, I'll tell you an example. So top-down approach, so goal. So it's a long-term impact on the project. So if you write that, the goal, so ultimate aim of goal of your project is to improve the economy of the farming community, or improve the social livelihood, status of the farming community, or to double the farmer's income due to the particular interventions. And then the purpose why what we have to achieve, that is the immediate outcome of the particular project. And that output and what result produced by the activities. And activities, how you carried out the activities. So these things, you can just understand, you can understand. And the goals, how to write the goal. So the long-term goal, the example, improving the quality of life in the community. This is a broad thing. So how we are going to improve the quality of the life in the community? That is a long term. And further, what are the different components we are going to introduce logically? So what will be the next, the outcome, and what will be the next output, and what will be the next, the input we are going to invest for creating that overall goal. So the example, the goal is defined in this content with two sentences. And the goals again that there should be only one goal for the project. So for any project, you should not write too many goals. It leads to a lot of confusion. So most of the people used to, because I used to review a lot of project proposal, from the different funding agency. I used to get some comment. I used to get some, the project referee. As a referee, I used to get some, project for evaluation. But because most of the people used to indicate a lot of, the objectives, and lot of major objectives, lot of goals. That's not possible to measure within this stipulated period. But any person comes with only the specific goal. And for specific goal, if you come out with the measurable objectives, to implement the measurable objectives, if you come out with the realistic methodology, to implement the realistic methodology, if you have that work plan, proper work plan, and to implement the work plan, if you have the realistic budget, anyone who writes this type of project proposal, definitely they will clear it. You can just go to any website for online submission of the project proposal. Now the people used to ask that, what is the goal of the project, what is the major objectives, what are the specific objectives, what is the methodology you are going to use, any intervention methodology, and what is the work plan for each and every objectives, how we are going to achieve it. So if you have the four objectives, means for each and every objectives, you have to introduce that what is the methodology, what is that your activities you are going to introduce, what is the expected outcome for the particular objectives. And for one objectives, you can mention that 2, 3, 4, the work plan. Like that for 4 objectives, if you have, you can mention for each and every objectives, you have to clearly mention that work plan. Then only the people can understand, so this much of what we are going to carry out, and because this project needs this much of budget. And based on that, if your project and the proposal matching with the budget, automatically the project will be made. This is a mantra. And the purpose. So the objective should address the core problem in terms of benefit to be received by the project beneficiary or target group. As a direct result of the project is called the purpose, or it's otherwise called as the outcome of the project. Okay. So these are the kind of specific, it should be specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and practical. And what's the purpose? The example, increase the number of families from the village Z in the quantity of X who live in the clean, garbage free environment within 1 year. Water supply. So these are the one improve that the water supply and improve that their the income level and improving their their the scale of the sanitation level. These things will lead to the quality life. So these should the purpose should lead to the goal. That way you have to set that indicator. Okay, the output of the project is ultimately, this is what the project team is promising to deliver. So immediately after introducing that your intervention what you are going to get it, that is out. Not even that outcome. And the results are more detailed than the objectives and the goal and should be possible to measure the use of objective indicators. Okay, the example. So the example for output, increased number of families living in the clean garbage, or increased number of households connected to the water supply, and increased number of water plants in the particular village. In agriculture side, increased adoption, increased our knowledge and practical technology, and more number of people using the micro irrigations, and more number of micro irrigation out, the input data has come. These are the output of your project purposes. Okay. And the activities, so what are the activities you are going to introduce in the particular project? That is also can be measured. Okay. So these are all those things you can fit into the particular logic approach. So the second step is workflow. So while implementing the project itself, you can measure. So how the activities are, what are the activities you are introduced, and what are the output you are going to measure, and the purpose and goal and so on. Okay. So quickly I'll just Rashid, these are the bottom level. Finally, after implementing the project, you can measure starting from the activities, and because of the activities, what type of output you get. Because of the output, what type of the purpose you get, and because of the purpose, what type of goal you get. Sorry. Sir, sir. Sir, sorry. So these type of things can be verified with the use of
classes getting over. The evening, 6 o'clock. 4:50. 3:30. I don't know when I kept because there was one more class that was put in the class. He is having class in the already time. I was given permission. She will give certificate. And then you can go. They will organize, conduct it afterwards.
So for the bottom-up approach, we may verify with the help of publication surveys, project notes, meetings, reports, records, photographs, stamps, and details, etc. That's why any project, you are supposed to maintain some records, and whenever you observe anything, you have to note it down in the particular records. Then only you can able to fit it into the logical approach. Okay. So the identify important assumption. So maybe that external to the project, important to project success, and clearly it will sustain the issues. So these are the very important. So once if you document all those things, it will be useful for fitting to the logical framework, and you can define whether the project is success or it's failed or it needs revisions or it can be upscaled or it can be withdrawn. Like that, you can take a decision. Okay. And this is the logical framework approach used by the URI for writing the proposal itself as well as the measuring the impact of the agricultural development things. So you can see that the assumption they clearly mentioned. So the agriculture assumption, so that the starting from output, the go what are the the major indicators and the measurable indicators like that they given. And here, by submitting the proposal, what are the things you have to mention? What is that your immediate objectives for each and every project? And this is impact of agriculture development program, which is documented by the World Bank, I think so. So here they have clearly mentioned that what is the goal, what is that the indicators, what are the indicators, relevant indicators, and for that output, what are the indicators to be measured, and what are the indicators to be included in the particular things. So all those things you have to indicate in the particular project process. And this is that my project, we documented the Tamil Nadu precision farming project. I documented that particular project, mega project. The government of Tamil Nadu supported the particular project with the budget of 7 crores, and we implemented in the 2 districts in the northwestern part of Tamil Nadu. And after 3-4 years, only we measured that particular impact. After measuring that particular impact, I put into the logical frame approach. So the interesting things are common. So the state level area and the precision farming is in terms of beneficiary farmers input. And another important thing is, so here, after introducing the particular project, the micro irrigation company, the number of company has started in the Tamil Nadu state. And another important thing is, so because of the micro irrigation, that the electricity, the efficiency also improved in the agriculture sector. So like that, we have just we measured, and these things we published in the London School of Economics. So we shared the particular the results with the London School of Economics, and this also published in terms of the video model in the London School of Economics. Anybody can view it. This is the IFD model, just to see that. And these are the AC development model. I told that how that the single system has created impact on the society, how they fit into the logical frame approach. So these are the very clearly mentioned how that the impact can be measured, and what are the data should be included and indicated to be identified. So I will share that the PowerPoint in order to see all those things. And the advantage of the logical frame approach is very simple. It's a very effective tool for proposing the proposal. It's a very effective template for monitoring your project activities, and it's a very effective framework model for measuring the impact of your project. Okay. And some of the key challenges the logical frame approach is also there. It is a complexity, and sometimes you are not able to clear that objectives, what is your objectives, how we are going to identify the indicators. And these are some of the limitations, but in spite of the limitations, still the logical frame approach is very effective, provided that it has some expertise in project implementation. If you are able to identify the appropriate indicator, you can very well, you can just measure that, the logical frame approach. So these are the reference, what we can do. So another 10 minutes. So how many people are here?
19.
16. Okay, just you make 4 people. Okay, we have a 4 group. What you can do, just you take any interventions. You can take any intervention. You can take the agriculture related interventions, or the agriculture engineering related interventions, or general sanitation related interventions or water related interventions. So you can take anything. So you not measure all those things, but you try to propose the project proposal, and while proposing the proposal, you fit into the logic frame approach. So for example, if you want to organize a training program for the extension officers, or if you want to organize a training program for the farmers for improving the spices or the pepper productivity and income of the pepper growers, you can take any topic. But what you have to do, you discuss the topic and fix that the goal, and fix that the purpose of the particular project or the outcome of the what is the expected outcome of the project, and what is the expected output of the particular project, and find what are the activities you are going to introduce and what are the resources you need, which includes budget. Okay, just make a 4-4-2-2, take 5 minutes, because time is not there, I have to stop by 1 o'clock. Okay, so just come out with at least the topic and some major indicator. Can you do that? Quickly, because I have to stop it by 1 o'clock. Only 10 minutes. Make a group.